Hey you guys, how y'all doing today? Today I want to talk about science and why does it outweigh math, and why did we let scientists tell us that everything that which is man-made instead of believing everything that God said and why it was here. So science tells us that everything in life has nothing to do with math. That this table that I'm sitting at right now, even though it's like probably it's a rectangular table, and two sides are the same and the other two sides, the longitude sides are the same and the latitude sides are the same, but with a square you have a perfect sides on both sides, they're equal, right? So if math doesn't matter, why wouldn't the table be this way? Why everything is either squares, circles, triangles? Why do we have these different shapes if math doesn't matter? If math doesn't matter, then it would be any shape that we choose, right? So you could look at a house. It's made from, at the top is a triangle, then the bottom is a square. The doors on the house is square. Everything, you walk around your house and look and see how a picture frame square every why if math doesn't matter, right? So you have to start thinking stuff like that, because if you take God out of everything and you put science in everything, then you're telling the creator he's nothing, and that we pretty much run ourselves, and that's not so. And that's why we have all these problems that we having in life right now. This COVID and everybody taking vaccines, and nobody's conscious, and they're not thinking for themselves, because consciousness is everything. And I tell y'all that all the time, and I can't stress that enough, and I'm gonna keep saying it until I have no more breath in me. Okay, so science mimics the observation. Science mimics the observable mathematical problems. Mathematics. Science mimics the observable mathematic patterns of reality by taking sensory patterns, experimental data. So if we work our five senses, the sight, the eyes, nose, mouth, ears, and hands, the touch, the sense, taste, all that, right? So those are our sensory patterns. So we learn as a baby, if we touch something hot, don't touch that again, it'll burn you. So learning from your experimental data, right? So science tells us that every day we don't need to go by what the Bible tells us how to live our life. We could just live our life from experimental data. And then that's not so either. Because once you start living life by experimental data, you become almost like a robot. You forget emotions and feelings, and not meaning so much emotions, but to have love for one another, because that's big, and respect. Okay, so science is an invention of human beings. We used to be taught by divine teachers, and they recorded everything on gold emerald tablets, gold tablets. So when God wrote something, He really did etch it in stone. You saw I said, man, I ain't gonna believe it till I see it etched in stone. Well, even though we read out these Bibles which Shakespeare wrote, because the Bible is man-made. The man wrote that just like he told us science was everything that we should wake up and go by day and night. And when God says that you will tell from day and night, from, y'all, everything is wrong. We have to go back and relearn everything that we was taught, because they lied to us. And it was all to take our consciousness away so that we can't reach our higher power. If God is the guided light, and to get to the guided light, we have to be a certain way. But you listen to they want us to follow laws, man-made laws. Don't run that red light. But they'll let you say 100 Hail Marys and cuss and all this other stuff that God said not to do. So that pushes you further away from the Creator. Our objective is to get closer. Don't you feel like when you wake up, you're in prison and feel like, down, hell on earth? Well, it really is hell on earth. God, when you came out that womb, your objective was to prove God that you're a divine being like Him, because God said you got to be like me to get to the kingdom. So if your objective is to show God you're closer to Him every day, every step, but we're doing things that's not pleasable in His sight, and then we wonder, oh, God don't love me because it is, oh, somebody died. And then we have to talk about incarnation. You know that life is a cycle. When something dies, it's rebirthed again. But we cry because church doesn't teach us, hey, when somebody dies or when something dies, it's coming back again. It might not come to you or in your family. Like, say, if I die right now, I'm gonna go talk to God, and I'm gonna look at the life I lived, whatever, was it good or bad, right? And judging on how I live my life and what I did. God, because you could be a plant, you can be an animal, or you could be a human. The human body is the highest form that you can be of existence. You know what I mean? That's why when people say, hey, treat nature as you would want to be treated. Don't go out picking flowers just to be picking them. You just leave it there. So grass as well, although it grows back. Well, they didn't say much about grass, it said plants. So So everything that we used to learn, it was taught to us through divine teachers, and they wrote stuff on scrolls or it was etched in stone. And those scrolls, they keep it from us in the Smithsonian Library. We can't read. We only read and get what they give us, which is the Bible. And the Bible is all about control. Yes, it's a higher power. Yes, we should believe in him. His universal language is love, to love one another, respect one another, and then we get closer to him. See, Mary Magdalene, she was a divine teacher. There was many divine teachers. Jesus was one as well, but I'm going to talk about Mary today. Mary, she was a divine teacher. Those who have obtained immortality and open with themselves and interest to the world of light, love, and great divine perfection. Those are the people who are considered divine teachers. The world in which there are no diseases or suffering, sorrows, or fears. The world of love, which can work great miracles. So once we get out this fear, you guys, this hate, all this, the deadly sin, the 7 sins, once we get away from that stuff and want to be closer to God, want salvation, don't love this world more than you can love yourself. Because you will get stuck. Just like all those movies you see, the End Game, the Hunger Games, all this stuff. They try to make that our reality, and they take you away from your consciousness, which is the higher power. Because as long as you have a brain to think and you can get in a quiet place and you meditate, like you'll have an epiphany. You don't know what might come to you, but something will come to you. And it'll tell you great things. And God, one of his commandments too was to be futile and multiply. Be fruitful and multiply. We're commanded to create in order to reflect our Father's image. He who exists to create, right? So, don't be ashamed to be pregnant. Yeah, life is hard and all that stuff. They make it so hard. But you always got the Heavenly Father above. You pray to him. And he did always tell us he will never give us something that we can't handle. And that's true. That's a true statement. If you believe it, your faith is strong in it, it works for you. It does. Right now we're in a devastation with this COVID. A lot of people are losing people. That's why I want to talk about incarnate too, because it's a cycle and everybody comes back. Even though we lost a loved one, and it hurts really bad when you lose somebody because you're used to that person being around for so long. But you have to remember, when you came in this world, you came alone. And when you leave this world, you will also leave, go alone. God doesn't want us crying for one another, because he didn't make the world to where we would hurt, And since we lost those divine teachings, we lost knowledge. We lost knowledge of self. So anyways, the Bible was written by Shakespeare, one of great literature writers. The Emerald Tablets were written by our divine teachers. That's the difference. We can't keep going off these man-made things and believing everything that man made, and not what God, the divine creators have for us in store. Mary Magdalene considered a consciousness, because to be, y'all think it's a game when I'm talking about consciousness and unconsciousness. If Mary Magdalene wouldn't have found her consciousness, her higher being, she wouldn't have been as important. She wouldn't have been written in the book of divine teachers, But she was considered a consciousness, the most important, Because to be conscious is important. It means God is giving you light, knowledge, power. It feels good to have power, you guys. Everything around us dissolves in the gentle and caressing light of the consciousness. Nothing, because when you're so conscious, somebody could say something about you that wouldn't even bother you, because those are small, petty things. It's bigger things to deal with in this world, you guys, than somebody not liking you, or your shoe not being tied, or your shoe ugly, or your house ugly, or your car ugly. It's too much in this world that's bigger than that, So I wanted to say, you want to try to find the light and get away from darkness. Sometimes you're sitting in a room and the light off and you see a figure over there. You're like, something in here with me. And you run and you cut the light on and there's nothing there. Because those are called shadow people. It's a lot of things that roam in this world, God say, though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we shall fear no evil. He let us know that it's shadows here. It's other things that are here with us, but still we should fear no evil, right? So long as we remember those things, those little things that God said, because we are, behold, I send you out as sheep amidst the wolves, He's letting us know, you in rough territory, and you're going to get by though. Just follow my guided light, You know, and he putting us through this test. Although God is right there, he could stop it at any moment he wants to. He putting each one of us individually through a test to see how we will react. Are we worthy of his kingdom? Are we worthy of being in paradise? That's why every day you're deal with an obstacle and you're like, oh man, I can't deal with this. I can't do this, God. Why me? Because he's trying to say, that's how you would deal with it. You know, that's why every day we have to still wake up with a sound mind and think positive all the time and know that God is right there with us, you know. Okay. This light is everyone who merges with this light enters everyone who merges with her in reciprocal love. So anybody who's merging with Mary Magdalene and her consciousness and how important it is, they'll dissolve in the gentle and caressing light of the consciousness. And this light, it has reciprocal love inside of it. It seems that her light washes from the soul all sorrows or painful wounds of the past if they still are present. This is the state that heals souls and calls them for the great love, devotion for God. And we all could be blinded by spiritual blindness. You know, many will not be saved because of, you know, spiritual blindness. They'll be stuck in their ways of the old teachings, the old learnings. Oh, well, growing up, I was taught this and I was taught this. And, oh, that's blasphemy what you saying because, no. But all the stuff that's going on in the church, kind of blasphemy going on in there, you know. Seeing is believing. And if you've been going to church and all this, doing this, and you don't feel no difference, but you go home and you start telling self, I want to get, you know, you talk to self and tell God, I want to be closer to you, God. I'm trying to find my way to you. And you want your consciousness, you have to be in silence. You can't always be watching TV on your phone, all that. You got to really sit down, meditate, talk to self, you know, and you will have an epiphany. And on the contrary, those who have opened their eyes for the truth and yearn for salvation can really transform themselves. If you really, really, really want it with your heart, mind, body, and soul, God will give it to you. Because Jesus came to the people of earth. That was that's an example he did. And he was a model of love when he came here. And souls who obtained his love, they became perfect just like him. So if you're around someone, how they say, birds of a feather flock together, like whoever you're around, that's like what you would adapt to be. If you're around a loving person, you'll eventually turn out to be a loving person as well. That's why people don't want you chilling with people who do drugs, because eventually you might start doing drugs, you know. They want to keep you with a sound mind. And Jesus spoke to be heard. Jesus spoke to be heard so that people could know that they were loved, that it was a transition out there, that you could be transformed into something better than what you was told or taught. The truth, which is that God is love and devotion. Souls are wandering in darkness. There's a lot of souls out there wandering in darkness right now because without the truth, and they do not know that the divine life exists. You know, his teachings are necessary for souls so that they can cognize love and light. To find the light and find the love is like they say, that road to is narrow. But that road to do wrong is broad, it's so big, you know. So to change, you guys, it's not going to happen overnight. But start looking into consciousness and your higher power and awareness to get closer to God, because the church, unfortunately, they're teaching, go get vaccinated, go get shot. They're not teaching you the love of God. And the love of God takes away illnesses, sorrow, pain. You won't have to worry about none of that stuff no more when you give it all to God. And I mean really give it to him. You know, put it in his hands. Let him know that your faith is sealed in his arms. You know, God, he's waiting for us. And the way that the world going right now, a lot of people are, you know, turning away from God. Because the Bible, y'all reading the wrong thing. Go read the Emerald Tablets. You know, it's a life. Y'all, this is the age of, we're in the age of information right now. The age of Aquarius. All this knowledge that's on the internet, and it's out there for the taking. You know, it's free. It's free. You don't even have to leave your house. You know, you got internet. Go on there. Consciousness. Google consciousness and see where it takes you. Google God and consciousness and see where that takes you. You on your way, or if not, if you don't get it now, like the movie Matrix, when Neo kept going in a cycle, that's us. If we don't get it, God wants us up there with him, but it'll be a cycle. The next time you come back, you might be a tree. The next time you come back, you might be a dog, cat, you know, a bird, or any kind of animal. Either way it go, this is the highest form you can be as a human being. And so I just wanted to talk to you guys about that. I want to talk about incarnation, reincarnation, whatever you guys want to call it, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about our shadows, because a lot of people are fighting with demons and it's inside themselves, because the shadow is the only thing that walks beside you, and it sees and it knows everything. So you are your worst critic. We have to remember that we are our worst critic, and we want to come into the light from the dark. And that's how we'll stop with all these diseases, this pain, this sorrow. Each one reach one, each one teach one. Bye, y'all.